Take a moment, listen to your heartbeat. Thump, thump. Thump, thump. It's been there since the first day you were on this earth, a faithful companion, never asking for anything, only working in silence. But, have you ever wondered how long this companion will journey with you? Why is it that some people, at the age of 90, have a heart that still beats like a celebratory drum, while so many others, their hearts fall silent before the age of 85? The answer, my friend, is not found in complex medical textbooks. It lies in 5 deadly mistakes that, perhaps, you are making every single day. If you have walked past the milestone of 60, please listen closely to my words. That feeling of breathlessness when you bend down to tie your shoes. That faint pang in your chest that you dismiss as just a bit of indigestion. Or those nights you wake up with your heart pounding in your chest. That is not normal aging. No. That is the whisper of an exhausted heart. Those are the first cracks appearing in a dam that is about to break. The harsh truth is, 75% of those who don't make it to 85 due to cardiovascular disease, all ignored these same whispers. They unwittingly set themselves on a one-way path to a heart attack, a stroke, and left behind a legacy of poignant regret for the ones they loved. I am Harold, 76 years old. I speak to you not as an expert, but as a survivor. This heart of mine, it once stopped beating. I have tasted the cold of that silence. And when I returned, I brought back a scar, and a truth. The truth is that to prevent heart disease in seniors, we must truly abandon the outdated health advice of the past. We must learn to listen to our bodies in an entirely new way. And that is why I am here today. To give you what I paid a heavy price to learn. On this journey together, you will discover 5 traitors disguised as healthy habits that are attacking your heart day and night. 3 mirrors that reflect your heart's health, which you can use yourself, right at home, without any equipment. And 2 loyal bodyguards from your kitchen with an incredible ability to help cleanse your arteries. And I promise you, the solution does not lie in expensive pills or miserable diets. But there is one thing more important than all the rest. At the end of our conversation, I will reveal a number in your blood work that 90% of doctors overlook, yet it is the most accurate predictor of an impending heart attack. Knowing this could be the difference between a full life and a sudden departure. So, pour yourself a cup of tea, find a quiet corner, and let us begin this journey together. If you are ready to listen to your heart, please write 2 simple words in the comments below, I'm ready. Because our first enemy is the very thing you trust the most, your comfortable, favorite chair. I want you to look around your room right now, and find the object you spend the most time with each day. Is it that comfortable armchair where you read the newspaper? Or that familiar sofa where you watch your favorite television shows? We see them as symbols of rest, of enjoying our golden years. But I am here to tell you a harsh truth, these inanimate friends could be the most dangerous enemies, silently weakening your heart. Let me tell you the story of Sandra, a friend of mine. She is 68 years old, a wonderful woman who always took pride in her healthy lifestyle. Every morning, rain or shine, she would walk for 30 minutes around her neighborhood. She ate her vegetables, took her vitamins. She believed she was doing everything right. But there was one thing Sandra didn't realize. After those 30 minutes of activity, she would spend more than 10 hours a day sitting. 3 hours reading and doing crosswords. 4 hours watching TV. 2 hours and 2 crafts. And the rest of the time, sitting while talking on the phone. And the tragedy is that 30/30 Minutech was not enough to save her. At her regular health checkup, her doctor was shocked to find that her heart muscle had begun to show signs of weakening. This is what scientists call the exercise paradox. Even if you exercise for 30 or even 60 minutes a day, it cannot undo the damage caused by prolonged sitting. Imagine it this way, it's like smoking 1 cigarette, and then trying to breathe fresh air for the remaining 23 hours. That single breath of fresh air will not save your lungs. After the age of 60, our bodies change. Our metabolism slows. Our blood circulation becomes less efficient. And our muscles, especially the heart muscle, begin to atrophy much faster when inactive. When you sit, blood pools in your legs, increasing the risk of blood clots threefold. And most importantly, it forces your heart, that faithful pump, to work much harder to push blood back upwards. Day after day, year after year, this overload causes the heart muscle to enlarge, become weak, and lose its inherent strength. That is the silent path to heart failure. And now, it is time for our first mirror. A small test you can do right where you are. Sit up straight in your chair, with your arms crossed over your chest. Now, try to stand up straight and sit back down 5 times in a row, without using your hands or momentum. Did you manage it? Did you find it difficult? When Sandra couldn't pass this test, she was devastated. But that was also the moment she decided she had to act. She didn't need any complicated methods. She simply applied a rule I call the 55/5 foot rule. For every 55 minutes of sitting, she would set an alarm. When it rang, she would get up and move for 5 minutes. Just a simple walk around the house, a few stretches, or some simple leg lifts right at her chair. The results were miraculous. 3 months later, not only could she easily complete that test 10 times, but her energy levels were soaring. Her doctor was amazed at the improvement in her circulation. But most importantly, Sandra felt strong again, independent, and confident. You see, you don't have to do great things. Just small, repeated changes. Now, I have a small question for you. Do you find this advice about the 55/5 foot rule helpful? If yes, please comment with the number 1. If you feel it's not practical, please comment with the number 2. I truly want to know what you think. Weakening your heart while you are awake is only half the story. But what you do, or don't do, while you sleep is truly a deadly trap that can strike you at any time. Now, let us take a journey together into the deepest part of the night. Outside, the world is asleep. But inside your body, a sacred and most vital work is taking place. The night is not just a time for rest. It is a magical repair shop, a regeneration factory, where your tired heart is healed, your blood pressure is brought to a state of peace, and every blood vessel is allowed to relax and recover. But what happens when this repair shop is never allowed to open? What happens when you close your eyes, but your heart is forced to stay awake in an endless battle? The story of Carl, a 72-year-old gentleman, is a tragic warning for us all. Carl was a very disciplined man. He went to bed on time, woke up early. But he always lived in a fog of fatigue that never lifted, and couldn't understand why his 85-year-old neighbor seemed so full of energy. Carl, like millions of other seniors, took pride in a deadly misconception, that older people need less sleep, that it's a sign of toughness. He slept only 5 to 6 hours a night and believed it was enough. But here is the truth that both Carl and I were horrified to realize. Our bodies have 2 nervous systems, the sympathetic system, which is like the gas pedal, increasing heart rate and blood pressure, and the parasympathetic system, the brake pedal, which helps us calm down and recover. During the day, we use the gas pedal. At night, when we fall into a deep sleep, the body presses the brake pedal. This is when the magic happens. In a groundbreaking study published in the European Heart Journal, scientists discovered that during deep sleep, a healthy person's blood pressure automatically drops by about 10 to 20%. They call this nocturnal dipping. This is the golden time for your heart and your entire vascular system to rest after a stressful day. When Carl only slept 5 to 6 hours, his body never had enough time to press that brake pedal. That means his gas pedal remained active all through the night. His blood pressure stayed high, tense as a violin string, 24 hours a day. His heart never got a single moment to truly rest. A heart that never rests is a heart that is rusting from the inside out. The American Academy of Sleep Medicine has issued a clear recommendation, adults, including those over 60, need 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. That is not a suggestion, it is a medical requirement. The great sleep scientist, Dr. Matthew Walker, author of Why We Sleep, has called sleep deprivation silent epidemic, and he points out that people who get insufficient sleep have a significantly higher risk of coronary artery calcification. Stolen sleep doesn't just steal your energy for the next day. It is hardening your arteries. It is increasing your risk of atrial fibrillation. It is stealing the precious years of your life. And now it's time for our second mirror. Be honest with yourself. Do you know that feeling? Around 2 to 4 in the afternoon, when your eyelids feel like they have lead weights on them, when every thought becomes sluggish, and you just want to put your head down on the table. If the answer is yes, that is not just fatigue. That is your body's desperate cry for help, signaling that it did not get the deep, restorative sleep it so desperately needed the night before. It is a sign that your repair shop was closed for business. Carl's transformation began with a rule I call the Golden 3-2-1 rule, specifically designed to reopen this repair shop for seniors. 3. No large meals within 3 hours of bedtime. When you eat a heavy meal, your body has to divert blood to the stomach for digestion, forcing the heart to work harder at the very moment it needs to rest the most. 2. No large amounts of liquids within 2 hours of bedtime. This is a very real issue for us. Waking up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom shatters your precious sleep cycle, pulling you out of the restorative deep sleep stage. 1. And most importantly, no looking at any electronic screens, TV, phone, tablet, within 1 hour of bedtime. The blue light from these devices tricks your brain into thinking it's still daytime, blocking the production of melatonin, the hormone of darkness, the signal for the body to begin its repair process. Carl also turned his bedroom into a sanctuary for sleep, completely dark, cool, and quiet. The change was astonishing. Within 6 weeks, Carl was able to sleep for 7 to 8 hours straight. His afternoon energy crash vanished. His memory became sharper. And his blood pressure, according to his doctor, had returned to the level of a man a decade younger. Sleep is the most powerful and free healing medicine for your heart. I am truly curious about your experience. On average, how many hours do you have at night? Is it less than 7 hours, or more than 7 hours? Please simply comment less or more below. There is no judgment here, only understanding. Restoring your heart with sleep is paramount. But there is an even more silent enemy. It doesn't attack your body while you sleep, but it attacks your very soul while you are awake, and it leaves deadly scars upon your heart. There is a type of poverty that cannot be measured in money. There is a type of thirst that cannot be quenched with water. And there is a type of sickness, for which no pill can offer a cure. It does not come from bacteria or a virus. It comes from silence. It comes from the invisible walls we build around ourselves. It is called loneliness. And for the heart of a person over 60, it is more toxic than cigarette smoke. The story of Rita is a painful lesson that I will never forget. She was 67, and when her beloved husband of 40 years passed away, a part of her died with him. Slowly, quietly, without her even realizing it, Rita began to withdraw from the world. It all started innocently. She declined dinner invitations because cooking for one felt pointless. She skipped her book club because the drive seemed too far. She stopped calling her friends because she didn't want to be a burden to them with her sadness. Within 6 months, Rita's world had shrunk to just her house, the grocery store, and her weekly doctor's visits. Rita thought she was managing just fine. She kept herself busy with puzzles, with her small garden, and with her books. But here is the catastrophically wrong assumption that she, and perhaps we, have made: keeping yourself busy is not the same as keeping yourself connected. And the difference between these two things is, quite literally, a matter of life and death. Dr. Julianne Holt-Lundstad, a pioneering researcher at Brigham Young University, conducted a landmark study that shook the entire medical community. She and her team analyzed data from hundreds of thousands of people and came to a stunning conclusion: chronic loneliness increases the risk of premature death as much as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. But why is it so dangerous? When you feel lonely for a long period, your brain interprets it as a survival threat, just like being hunted by a wild animal. It triggers a chronic fight-or-flight response. Your body constantly releases cortisol and other inflammatory chemicals called cytokines. This is no longer about feelings. This is biology. This inflammation directly attacks the delicate inner lining of your arteries, known as the endothelium. It makes the walls of your blood vessels rough and sticky, creating the perfect conditions for cholesterol and other plaque to build up, causing atherosclerosis. Loneliness is clogging your heart. The American Heart Association has now officially recognized social isolation as a major risk factor for cardiovascular disease and stroke. And now, it is time for our third mirror. Take a moment to reflect and answer this question honestly. You don't have to tell anyone, just answer for yourself. In the past week, how many meaningful conversations have you had? I'm not talking about polite greetings. I mean real conversations, where you feel heard, understood, where you could share something from your heart. If the answer is less than 3, you are in the danger zone. If the answer is 1, or none, you are in a silent crisis. Rita discovered a crucial truth: there is a huge difference between solitude and loneliness. Solitude is when you actively choose to be alone to recharge, and that is very healthy. But loneliness is the feeling of being disconnected, even when you are surrounded by people. Rita's transformation began with a challenge I call the One New Person a Month challenge. It's not about dating. It's simply about making one new, meaningful connection each month. She started teaching adults to read at a literacy center. She joined a hiking group for seniors. But the real breakthrough came when Rita embraced intergenerational connections. She started babysitting for her neighbors' grandchildren. She joined a community garden where she worked alongside people of all ages. She discovered that sharing her wisdom and experience with the younger generation gave her a profound sense of purpose. 2 years later, Rita's life is fuller than ever. Her calendar is packed with meaningful activities. Her doctor was amazed at the improvement in her blood pressure and sleep quality. Most importantly, Rita feels needed, valued, and deeply connected. We humans are, by our very nature, creatures of connection. I'd like to ask you something, very simply. Which form of connection do you prefer? Talking face-to-face, or chatting on the phone? If you prefer to meet in person, please comment with the number 3. If you prefer talking on the phone, please comment with the number 4. Let's see how we are similar and different. Healing the heart with connection is a powerful medicine. But it all becomes meaningless if you are poisoning it every single day, through the very things you believe are nourishing you. Our generation was taught to eat for decades. A slice of fragrant, whole wheat toast. A glass of 100% pure orange juice for a vitamin C boost. And perhaps a low-fat yogurt for good digestion. That is the picture of health, isn't it? That is what the doctors told us. But what if I told you that this very beautiful picture was a silent death sentence for your heart? David, 74 years old, was the epitome of diligence. He had faithfully followed his doctor's advice for 30 years. His breakfast was never without whole wheat toast with jam and a large glass of orange juice. He believed he was giving his body the very best. But his body was telling a different story. David always felt an ache in his joints, and a fog of fatigue would cloud his mind every afternoon. The biggest shock came from his doctor's office, when his blood tests showed inflammation and blood sugar markers at a red alert level. His doctor told him that, biologically, his body was 15 years older than his actual age. David was utterly bewildered. Where had he gone wrong? The answer lies in a truth that modern medicine has only truly understood in recent years: the body of a person over 60 processes food in a completely different way. What was good for you at 40 can become poison at 70. Let's analyze David's healthy meal. First, the whole wheat toast. We were taught it's better than white bread. But the truth is, many modern wheat varieties have been engineered to have an extremely high glycemic index. Once in the body, it converts to sugar faster than table sugar itself. Every single one of these sudden blood sugar spikes is like a small hurricane. It creates thousands of inflammatory molecules, like tiny particles of sandpaper, scraping and damaging the delicate endothelial lining inside your arteries. Second, the glass of orange juice. Even if it's 100% natural, almost all the fiber has been removed. What's left is a flood of fructose. David's 74-year-old liver couldn't handle this massive amount of sugar efficiently. Instead, it converted most of it into triglycerides, a type of bad fat in the blood, a direct enemy of a healthy heart. And third, the oil David cooked with. Like many people, he used common vegetable oils like soybean or corn oil. The Journal of the American College of Cardiology has published numerous studies showing these oils are packed with omega-6 fatty acids, a substance that promotes inflammation in the body. They are like arsonists, while our bodies need omega-3s, the firefighters found in olive oil or fatty fish, to extinguish that inflammatory fire. David realized he was poisoning himself with the very foods he believed were best for him. And so was I. I used to believe in all of those things. I used to start my day exactly like David. And I believe those mistakes contributed to the scar I carry on my chest today. But the good news is, it is never too late to put out the fire. David's transformation began with changes, surprisingly simple change: sazed his toast and orange juice with a bowl of rolled oats cooked with a handful of berries. Oats contain beta-glucan, a soluble fiber that helps lower cholesterol. Berries provide vitamins without the sugar flood. He replaced his vegetable oils with extra virgin olive oil and coconut oil. He discovered the power of healing spices. To every meal, he added a bit of garlic and turmeric. Garlic helps relax blood vessels, lowering blood pressure. And turmeric is the most powerful natural anti-inflammatory known to man. Within 3 months, David's joint pain had decreased by 80%. The fog in his mind lifted. And high's inflammatory markers in his blood dropped to the level of a healthy 50-year-old. To help you on this journey, I have created a small gift. It's a list of the 10 golden superfoods for your heart, along with simple recipes. You can download it completely free from the link I've left in the video description. And now, I'd like to ask you something very personal about your kitchen. Of the 2 oils I just mentioned, olive oil and coconut oil, are you currently using at least one of them daily? Please simply comment with yes or not yet. This isn't a test, but a way for us to realize together that sometimes, protecting your heart is as simple as changing a bottle of oil in your kitchen. Changing what you eat can make a phenomenal difference. But if you cannot control this final fire, the fire that comes from your thoughts, then all your efforts may be washed away. There is a thief who does not take your money or your jewelry. He is far more subtle. He steals your sleep. He steals your joy. And most frightening of all, he is stealing the future beats of your heart. This thief does not break in from the outside. He is born from within your own mind. The name is chronic worry. Nancy, 69 years old, always prided herself on being a planner who prepared for everything. She had contingency plans for her contingency plans. She researched every possible health scare, prepared for every financial disaster, and spent hours each day thinking through what-if scenarios. Nancy believed her constant worry was her way of keeping her family safe and prepared. Until one day, at her annual physical, her doctor looked at her test results with a look of deep concern and said, "Nancy, your cortisol levels are dangerously high. Your blood pressure is soaring. If we don't address this immediately, you could be facing heart disease, a stroke, or worse within the next few years." Nancy was shocked. She didn't live a stressful life. She was retired, financially comfortable, and surrounded by a loving family. How could she possibly be stressed? And that is when Nancy learned a brutal lesson: the most dangerous type of stress is not the major shocks, but the low-grade, simmering worry that builds up over decades. It's like a small, constant leak, slowly eroding the very foundation of your health. After the age of 60, we face what I call the senior stress paradox. We have more life experience and wisdom than ever before, but our bodies lose the ability to recover from stress. When you worry, your body releases cortisol, the primary stress hormone. In a younger person, after the threat passes, cortisol levels drop. But in us, this system becomes less efficient. Cortisol stays elevated for longer, and this is when it becomes toxic. Listen carefully to this. Here is what cortisol does to your heart. It constricts your blood vessels, like you are squeezing a garden hose. This immediately raises your blood pressure. It increases your heart rate, forcing your heart to overwork. And most devastatingly, over time, constant exposure to cortisol causes the walls of your arteries to become stiff and less flexible. This is the very definition of arteriosclerosis. Your worry is our arteries to stone from the inside out. The American Institute of Stress has shown that chronic stress is one of the main contributing factors to heart attacks and strokes. After my heart attack, I lived in fear. Every little pang, every skipped beat made me think, it's happening again. That fear almost destroyed me more than the heart attack itself. But then I learned how to escape. And so did Nancy. Her transformation began when she learned a breathing technique so simple it's almost unbelievable, a technique used by Navy SEALs to stay calm in the most dangerous situations. I call it the 4-4-4-4 box breath. Breathe in through your nose for a slow count of 4. Hold your breath for a slow count of 4. Exhale slowly through your mouth for a slow count of 4. And rest, without inhaling, for a slow count of 4. Just 5 minutes of this practice each day can lower your blood pressure and spread a sense of calm through your entire body. Nancy also learned to shift her perspective. Instead of asking, "What if something bad happens?" she started asking, "How do I want to be remembered?" That question moved her from a life based on fear to a life based on purpose. The transformation was profound. Her blood pressure returned to normal. Her sleep improved. Most importantly, Nancy learned to live with uncertainty without being consumed by it. And now, I want to ask you one final question in this section. Close your eyes for just a second and feel. Which word best describes how you feel on most days? Is it peaceful, or is it worried? Please comment with the one single word that feels closest to you. This is a way for us to acknowledge our feelings. Now you know the 5 silent enemies of your heart. In our final part, let us see the miracle that happens when you defeat them all, and discover the final secret I promised you. We have journeyed together through the shadows. We have faced the enemies hidden in our own homes, in our sleep, and in our minds. Now, let us step into the light together. Imagine a future version of yourself. A version no longer imprisoned by fear. A version where every beat of your heart is not a warning, but a note in the symphony of life. 2 years have passed since my friends, Sandra, Carl, Rita, David, and Nancy, first learned about these deadly habits. Let me tell you where they are today, because their transformations will show you exactly what is possible when you take control of your heart's destiny. Sandra, who once could barely stand up from a chair, now, at 70, has just returned from leading a hiking group of seniors. She didn't just conquer a mountain, she reclaimed her strength. Carl, at 74, sleeps a soundly 8 hours every night and wakes with an astonishingly sharp mind. His doctor says his cognitive function tests show improvement, rather than decline. Rita, at 67, has a social calendar so full that she has to schedule her downtime. She has become a mentor, an inspiration, a warm heart connecting an entire community. David, at 76, is now off 3 of the medications he used to take. His inflammation markers are now equivalent to those of a healthy 50-year-old. He says he feels 20 years younger. And Nancy, at 71, has transformed from a chronic worrier into a beacon of peace. She finds deep joy in helping others break free from the very fears that once imprisoned her. Here is the most miraculous part of their stories. When you start to fix one habit, all the other habits become easier to fix. When Sandra started moving more, her sleep naturally improved. When Carl's sleep got better, his stress levels dropped. When Rita connected with others, her motivation to eat well increased. This is the compound effect. This is the power of making the right choices. The Harvard study of adult development, one of the longest-running studies in history, has shown that people who avoid these 5 habits live an average of 12 to 15 years longer. But more importantly, they live those extra years with vitality, independence, and profound joy. And now, it is time for me to fulfill my final promise. The biggest secret, the number in your blood work that 90% of doctors often overlook, yet is the most accurate predictor of a future heart attack risk, is hsCRP. Remember this name, hsCRP, which stands for high sensitivity C-reactive protein. It doesn't measure cholesterol. It measures the level of silent inflammation occurring inside your body. A high hsCRP level can be the earliest, strongest warning sign that your arteries are in danger, even if your cholesterol levels are perfectly normal. At your next physical, be courageous and ask your doctor, could you please check my hsCRP level? This knowledge could save your life. The journey to 90 with a healthy heart is not a matter of luck, it is a series of choices. And it is never too late to start choosing for your heart, starting today. If this video has opened your eyes to something new, if it has lit a spark of hope within you, please press the like button right now. And please, share this video with someone you love. Because this knowledge deserves to be spread. Before you go, I want to ask you one last question. After hearing all of this, what is the biggest feeling inside you right now? Is it hope? Please comment with that one single word, hope, if that is how you feel. Let's spread this positive energy together. Remember this truth, you can have more healthy, vibrant years ahead of you than you have left behind. Thank you for listening.